Hello, everyone. This is Tom Guns coming at you. I'll be your host. I have a special guest with me tonight and a good friend, Mr. Rich Guz, Hard Knocks News. Just want to do a show for you and discuss some important topics that we've been talking about. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing great, Tom. Thank you for having me. How you doing?
Doing well, hanging in there. Just wanted to touch base with you and see what's going on and have you on the show and have an open topic.
Well, I'll tell you, Tom. We had an awesome phone call the other night that we were just talking about, and we hit on a bunch of different things. And we're talking about Trump, and a lot of people are starting to question him, and because nothing's being done, Hillary's not arrested, is not being arrested. Mueller's still being allowed to basically hire all these Clinton lawyers, and it's just a witch hunt, pure and simple. And I'm just telling people that you can't give up on this guy. He's actually our only hope that we have that's present. And just imagine if Hillary was president right now and where we'd be at.
Yeah, we'd probably be at war with the Russians or North Koreans or somebody, Iran, something like that by now. But
yeah, I even wondered that, man. I mean, Hillary Clinton and all those people, John Podesta, the whole Clinton crew, man. I mean, these people have been in the Russians' pockets more than anything. I mean, basically, they're all guilty of what they're accusing Trump of, and that's basically, their tactic is to blame the other person on all the things that they're guilty of. I say you have to keep holding out hope with Trump, and just put yourself in that man's shoes, like we were talking about with all these different secret societies, and there's a lot of them. And how do you defeat that? That's the question. And he battles as far as, okay, if he puts the hammer down, what's the country going to do? I think that's the main important thing that he's worried about, is how will America react if he starts putting down the hammer.
Yeah. Well, I just worry about his safety because of these secret people are everywhere in the government, and they're basically like the Council on Foreign Relations and the UN being in New York and all this stuff. They've infiltrated every branch, I believe, of our government. So it's a task that is almost impossible, I think, to take care of all these different rogue, in my opinion, organizations. The Federal Reserve, we got to get rid of them too.
Absolutely. I saw there's a guy named Craig Sawyer. He's an elite Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL. He put out a pretty good idea to Trump, and he's trying to get his message out to Trump. And basically what he's trying to tell Trump is, you need to appoint people that you trust completely, people that are involved in the game and are on Trump's side, on America's side. Appoint each individual to, like, the Justice Department, the CIA, the NSA. You put one person in charge to go in and find out all the corruption and expose it, and you do it quickly. Craig Sawyer's got a YouTube channel, and I would suggest that if anyone's interested in what I just talked about, just go ahead and check him out on his YouTube channel and listen to what the guy has to say. This guy has been hooked up with a bunch of different federal agencies, and he's been taking down a bunch of pedos, elite pedos. And that's another thing that has been not even talked about lately, is the amount of pedos that have been getting busted. You're not hearing about it. It's just incredible how many missing children are out there. It's epidemic. The amount of kids that are just missing is just mind-boggling, bro. And it's something that's never really talked about. And these are our children. They're our dearest thing that we hold truest to our hearts, are our children. And this is something that needs to be stopped. And I think this is something that these elite players use to hold over the heads of the people they want to control. They get them involved in these secret societies, and they basically do all this weird stuff. And part of the thing is Satanism and all that crap. And to me, it seems like a lot of people sold out their souls. There's another person too. I forgot. I wish I would have been more prepared. I'm sorry, but there was another big name that came out in the last couple of days. No, he's from your. He used to be a congressman, I believe. Alan West. You know what I'm talking about?
That sounds familiar.
Well, his name is Alan West. I believe he was a congressman, an ex-congressman. He actually did an article he put out there and said that about 78 to 81 members of Congress are members of the Communist Party. And he goes into detail. I started reading a little bit of it this morning before I went out for my little ride. And it was quite amazing to see what this man had to say. We have been taken over by the communists big time. I mean, it's, everyone's crying Russia, 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 but it's China that we all have to worry about right now. Something is definitely, if you look at the stupidity that's going on right now, Tom, did you ever think you would see the amount of stupidity that's going on? White privilege is being talked about. We need to be ashamed of ourselves because we're white and this and that. Just the nonsense that's out there. The nonsense in the media. It's just everywhere you look, it's like upside down. It's unbelievable. And there seems to be a big rush to basically enact some kind of plan here. These people are trying to institute something here. I can't figure it out though. Like I was telling you before, is it something to do with something up in space? Is there a threat from space that we're not aware of, or what's going on, Tom? I just feel that we're in some dire times right now. You just you can't deny the fact that something just ain't right.
Oh yeah, it's hard to say because there's so many distractionary things that can be either way. It could go either way. They could do a fake alien invasion. They could use Project Bluebeam. They've got all this particulates everywhere in the skies they can use, and they can send, frequencies through and all kinds of other crazy things that they have. But, we still got to go back to America is a corporation. And it's basically, in 1871, the District of Columbia Organic Act that refers to the United States Code. Okay, so basically we're a corporation. It's in capital letters, and the title, I've got it, 28/3002 15 ABC. Basically, we're not a republic. We haven't been since then, and so they've infiltrated a long time ago and always stayed in the shadows. But now, because of the internet and technology, we're able to find out, about who these people are and what their intent is. And they're talking a lot about cashless society. They're talking about universal income, where you only get so much, which all that does is full control over everything. So they'll do anything to keep the power they have. Like our money, for example. Nothing backs our currency right now. It's just paper. They keep printing it. We go farther in debt. They keep raising the debt ceiling, but then Obama said it doesn't raise the debt, and people believe that. We have a huge monetary problem. We have societal problem. We have people like George Soros and other players in these secret groups.
The Open Society, yep.
Yeah, they're using techniques of mind control and manipulation and indoctrination to basically get everybody to believe, that this is great and wonderful. Take the chip, you don't need to carry cash anymore. Da-da-da-da-da. It's all happening now. Like in Sweden, they're doing it. So throughout the world, really. So I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you 100% here. Um, it might be a little bit off the subject, but everything that they've been putting into our food, the fluoride into our water. Um, I've been doing a little bit of research about, um, you know, people, all the gays that are basically coming out today. I had this conversation with a friend of mine last night, and his brother was gay, and his brother died about 10 years ago. So it's very personal to him. And I was trying to tell him, I says, look, I says, it's all because of the types of food that people are eating, what's in our water. They're basically taking and putting more estrogen into males, and it's screwing up the estrogen in females. And it's basically, what's happening is they're basically brainwashing you. We're easy prey is what I'm trying to say. So they've had all this time to screw with us through poisoning our foods, poisoning our air, poisoning our water, and between the TV, the boob tube there, and everything else, being able to brainwash you and to get you to sit down and watch. If you notice some of these shows, geared, if you even look at some of the commercials today, and how they try to put down the father of the family, how the woman is supposed to be more of a man than, if you really have an open mind and look at, if you sit down and watch the TV for a little while and watch the commercials, watch the shows, and you watch the role reversals in them, and then you start wondering, is this affecting everything that's happening today? I believe it all falls hand in hand together. I believe you're right about it all. I mean, people are getting to be more awakened, but there's a lot of people that are falling prey to this brainwashing crap. They're just so overwhelmed by chemicals that have taken over their bodies. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but
yeah, absolutely does.
You know what I'm trying to get at. I'm not very good at putting this into words, but I just feel that, yeah, they've had a long time to basically enact all this, and they're full force right now. They are trying to overtake this country. I mean, look what's happening with all these George Soros protests everywhere you look, out in the big cities in California and all over the place, New York City. It's just incredible what's going on. And what's sad to me too is a lot of these people, these LGBTQ whatever communities, they're all open borders and let the people in and let's love the Muslims, but the Muslims want to kill these people, and they want to let the people in that want to kill them. They don't realize what's going on. I just wish they would sit down and just see that, look, man, what's happening to you has been purposely done. And it's time to get back at these people somehow. I don't know how to get back at them, but, we're in a lot of trouble, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the answers myself. I just think that by talking about it, that's what I always want to get my voice heard out there, is that we need more and more people to look at the bigger picture of what's happening. Because you're right about the chemicals, about Monsanto, about all the corporations. The United States Inc., it's a corporation. That isn't freedom, okay? And it's not individual liberties anymore. We're losing that. And the censorship and just everything else that's happening is nuts. But your average person, they're sitting down in front of the TV, which is subliminal programming. It's the flicker rate and other things like that. And you can slow them down and see what they're pushing. And a lot of it's satanic. They're some guy ran over the 10 Commandments and all this other stuff, and they're putting satanic, worshiping idols up all over the place. I mean, it's incredible. It really is.
It really is, bro. I mean, they've really broken up the family. And like you said, I mean, it started a long time ago. I mean, if you look at the women's rights movement, back in what the late 50s, early 60s, when this big feminism shit came out. I mean, that was basically a ploy to basically break up the family. It was to get the mother out of the house to start working,
Right.
to break up that family unit. And it's really worked. I mean, if you can look back and you see what's going on now, it's sad because you got both family, you got both mom and dad out working their butts off, and you have no choice. You really don't. I mean, in order to keep your home, to keep a house or an apartment or whatever, you know, everybody's got to pull their weight. And there's no, I mean, I can remember when I was growing up, my dad worked. And my mom did have a little part-time job, but for the most part, it was my dad. And Tom, I'll tell you, man. I mean, we went on nice vacations. I mean, nice to me. You know, we did camp. We were camping. You know, but we
Right.
traveled. We traveled up and down the East Coast, camping at different campgrounds, and you know, doing different things all the time. And how many people really get to take valuable vacation time these days? You know, it's amazing to see that even people that are allowed vacations that do work, most of them end up working their vacations because they just can't afford to go anywhere. You
Yeah,
know,
or through your computer, or your tablet or whatever else. They're constantly getting you to do something, so you're really not on vacation. You're just, you know, you can't break away from it completely unless you shut everything off, which I suggest, and go on vacation with no technology with you. You know, if you can afford to go. But I mean, you're right. The family has been destroyed. This is all done by design.
it is.
And the left right paradigm thing is by design.
It is. It's like WWE. It's like the wrestling thing. You know, it's. You're exactly right. They put on this big act, Republican, Democrats, and then you know when the cameras are off them, they're out in the bars drinking, drumming it up, trying to think about the next little scam to pull on us. I mean, you know, look what's going on now with the Republicans. I mean, all this Obamacare crap, and look, man, why can't we just repeal this? You know, like Donald Trump said, let's just repeal it. We were fine before we had Obamacare. Insurance was, you know, there was things to be changed. There was things that needed to be instrumented to make it better. But, you know,
right, which is to regulate the insurance companies, not the people.
Right. And it's the insurance companies right now that are dictating, that are lobbying the congressmen and the senators. They're the ones out there lobbying to make this law be whatever which way it goes. And they should have no say in any of this. You know, that I don't understand why that's being out there. And that's why I'm saying, I mean, as much as Donald Trump came in, he won, I mean, surprised the world and won. I think the man is finding it very difficult. And with the threats on his family's life right now, with the thing that happened with Ivanka and his wife Melania over in Europe in the last couple of weeks, there was some things that had happened. I think that was a message sent to him by these elites that, look, if you don't step up and play by the rules here, you're going to end up losing some family members here. So I think he's up against the wall. I think a lot of people like me and you want things done now. We want these criminals locked up. We want Podesta and this pedo crap all exposed and brought out to the open for everyone to see. And we want these people to be punished the way they should be.
Right.
On the other hand, this
I agree, and that's what we want. We want it in a hurry, but I think that his life, I'm sure, has been threatened. Probably, if anybody's for real, they're going to threaten you. They're going to attack. But look at JFK. You know what he said in that famous speech. You know about the secret societies and how we're. So anybody can go and look at what he said, and that one. That's really probably what got him taken out.
It did. He was going to bust up the Federal Reserve, bro. He was going to bust up the Federal Reserve. And he even mentioned about breaking up the CIA into little pieces to get rid of it.
Splinters. Yeah, he was going to splinter the CIA into
a million. CIA, exactly. And then look what happened to JFK. I mean, and then I don't know if you realize it right now. Okay, but you remember when we had Attorney General I got a mind blank. The last one, the one that
Loretta Lynch.
Loretta Lynch. Okay. You remember when she had the famous plane meeting with Bill Clinton?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There was a pilot that flew that plane that heard the whole conversation, Tom. And Fox News, he reached out to Fox News. There was going to be a big Fox News blowout on, I think it was July 24th. It was supposed to happen. He divulged a lot of stuff. And basically, the guy was put into protective custody. Now, supposedly, this guy is dead. It's come out that another man is dead. You know, another Clinton mysterious death has happened.
Right. Yep.
Now, is this maybe a story they're trying to sell him and he's still in protective custody? I don't know. But look at the other guy that was just talked about. There was a reporter that was digging in, trying to find the Clinton emails, and supposedly he stumbled onto something big. And they basically came out and said his death was a suicide the past few days here. But now it's starting to come out. How could you call it a suicide when you have a bag over your head with helium hooked up to the bag and a suicide note that just doesn't make any sense? I'm glad people are starting to talk about it. There are some people that have some influence in this world that are saying, "Oh, let's take another look at this. This is not suicide." But it seems like whenever someone gets too close to the truth, it seems like, I'll tell you, man, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are the source of a lot of these weird deaths. They have caused North Korea. Bill Clinton was responsible for North Korea to have nuclear arms. Okay. I mean, she sold our uranium, okay, to Russia. Obama allowed Iran basically to be able to obtain nuclear weapons down the road. You know what I'm getting at? I mean, there's a lot of people that are getting ready to explode and blow this wide open, but then as soon as they basically get the goods, they die. I mean, it's just
like Seth Rich. I mean, you know,
exactly.
Oh, he was botched robbery. Oh, okay. I don't buy that for a minute. He was the one.
No, and not only that. Now with Seth Rich, you got that that guy that came out. I forgot the organization he was tied to, but some guy came out and analyzed all the data rates, the exchange there, and said, no, there is no way that was anything got hacked. This was a direct download from the DNC directly. Someone on the inside had to have done it because of the data rate. I don't know anything about that stuff. So if anyone's listening, you probably know more about it than I do. But yeah, I mean, and then Seth's rich family, how they're acting. I mean, to me, that's what's sad about it, is you got the family trying to tell people to stop looking into this because it's not doing any good and blah, blah. How could any parent feel? It just doesn't make sense to me, Tom. I just don't understand why happening. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many mysterious deaths behind, and I know that Trump has to know that. I mean, he has to know, because we can figure it out, and we're not that smart, right? We're just guys that are looking in the internet and finding all this information, and the stuff that went to WikiLeaks and everything was from Seth Rich. It was from him. So to me, that's like, okay, all right, I can see it now. They had to take him out. It's like, go back to Michael Hastings. Everybody forgets. You know, they blew his ass up, you know, because he had some, I don't know what he had, but he had something, and they did not want it out. And so they took him out, you know. So this is a real game. This is a real world stuff. It's not a joke, you know.
And that's what's so frustrating, Tom, is you have all this high profile stuff that comes out, and what happens? Someone dies. How many times do we see this? I mean, and how many times in the past month have we seen people die? And if we can figure this out, and if we can make that connection, it's so frustrating to see this be buried. It's just, you know, it's frustrating because mainstream media is no longer credible, and we literally have to rely on things like this, shows like yours, YouTube channels that are out there trying to put the truth out. But it's just geared to, like, you know, a few thousand people here, a couple 100,000 views here. You know, it's like where it should be counted as legit, where NBC News, CBS News should be doing these stories. It just gets shoved to the wayside, ignored, and nothing ever happens. And I think that adds to the frustration of all of us because we see how corrupt everything is, and yet nothing is being done. And I don't understand why this is taking so long. The only thing I can tell people out there is it's got to be a lot more deeper than we can even think of. And I imagine with the severity of it and the scope of how huge this is, that it just can't be done by snapping your fingers and coming out tomorrow morning saying, okay, we've arrested 80 members of Congress, 30 members of the Senate. We have arrested so many MSM journalists. And, I think that's what we all want. We want to wake up tomorrow morning and we want to hear the news that this is all being taken care of and it's coming out. And now we know something will be done, and it never happens. I wake up every morning. I check Drudge Report. I check a few different sources of information out there that I find credible, and it just always goes against Trump. It's something new against Trump, like Trump's son, Junior. There, ridiculous. If you can't see that that's a setup, then I don't know what to tell people. But yet, this is all they talk about, and it's just, it's frustrating.
Well, they're controlling the narrative, and it's the same old thing, and it really is problem, reaction, solution as well. And so they want to create the problem. They want to come in and give the solution. And see, it's the same thing, like with transhumanism. I talk about that. I talk about HAARP and CERN and geoengineering. Chemtrails, whatever you want to call it. All the stuff that they're doing, Fukushima, people don't talk about real issues. They talk about silly stuff all the time. There's way bigger issues than what the main amount of people are out there talking about Kim Kardashian or something. I'm like, are you serious? The fish are dying, the world. I mean, what is going on here? So
exactly. I mean, you got these people that want to dump Fukushima waste in our oceans, but no one's talking about this crap. Like you're saying, they're talking about Kim Kardashian, or they're talking about Russia, Trump, Russia, Russia, Trump, and I just I think it's frustrating because how many times have we gone to the voting booth? And I know our votes are pretty much. The one thing I do have to say is Trump is right about. He was dead right about the amount of illegal votes that happened in our prior elections, and he wants to do something about it. He formed a task force to basically take care of this, and so far the only state that has complied, I think, has been Alaska. And all of these DNC held states refuse to give out their stats. Why is that?
Because they know it's corrupt, and
they know it's corrupt, Tom. Exactly.
Much corruption that was involved in the voter fraud and the dead people that voted for Hillary is outrageous. It's the numbers are crazy, but
it is.
But see, they didn't expect him to win. They thought for sure they were going to win, because they had it in the bag. Basically through corruption.
Right. And that's why I say your vote kind of does count, because what you saw with Trump, and I don't, I've had people argue this with me all the time, and they say that they allowed Trump to get in there for this. I say they're wrong. I say that you saw the American working class that came out in droves to make sure that they got their voices heard, that their vote counted. And
it was overwhelming. That's what it was. It overwhelmed them.
It was overwhelming. It was so overwhelming that they really couldn't do nothing about it. And, that really woke them all up. Was he allowed to be part of it? Yeah. See, opinion, this is just my opinion. I believe that they allowed Trump to be part of this because they figured that Trump would be the easiest person that they could defeat because of who Trump was. They figured there ain't no one that's got, because they live in their little bubble. And that's the problem. They live in the DC bubble. They all talk amongst themselves, and they think that whatever they discuss is how that this is what America is. Well, they got another thing coming because they just found out the hard way. But what gets me is we have the Republican Party that hates Trump just as much as the Democratic Party here. And, you look what they're doing. They hold all the look, we hold all the power right now. The Republicans hold the power. They're the ones that could put these committees together and start looking into Loretta Lynch, Susan Rice, Obama. They could be calling all these different investigations to start popping up, but they don't. They just allow the Democrats to keep ruling the parties and running the platforms here. And this is what's frustrating to all of us is I think we take it out on Trump, and we all forget that Trump only has a certain amount of power. I mean, there's only so much that Trump can do. Trump needs a party that's behind him, and he's got a party that refuses to back him. See, these people are running scared.
Yeah, they're against him because a lot of them are all involved in all that illegal activity. There's a lot of blackmail. There's a lot of stuff on all these people. So they're going along, with these elites basically because they're the ones that are controlling it all. And I wanted to stop and give a shout out to Randy, Forever Freedom, and Becky. Becky's in the chat too. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Hello, Randy. I hope everything's going well with you, brother. And hello, Becky. Nice to hear from you. Yeah, it's crazy, Tom. I just, I really believe this pedo stuff. When we saw the Podesta emails, right? You remember all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was all real. Okay, all those all that lingo that they were talking about. It's all there, man. If you go and go to the FBI website and you look up all the lingo words for the pedo world, everything that was in the Podesta emails, a lot of that stuff was about pedo stuff. These people are sick people. And you're right. I think that's what they're holding over their head. I think this is what the elites hold over. The elites allow these people to get filthy rich. They sell their soul to the devil. And this is what keeps them in line. And I think you're seeing these people are so scared that they get exposed to the American people because they know the American people will be hunting them down and dragging them out of their houses once they find out the truth,
Sure.
And I see that's where I think Trump should cut a deal with some people and say, look, okay, I realize what you have done. It's bad, but you got to come clean. And, we'll allow you,
right. We'll give you some kind of plea deal or something
exactly.
for testifying about what's really going on, and then bring it out to the light of the American people. And they're trying to go after Trump for his Twitter, but that's kind of like, well, that's how he can get around the media, and say what he wants to say. And it's his personal account, so people are trying to attack that. He's shutting me down. He's not letting me. He's blocking me. Well, that's his personal account. He can do. It's not a presidential account.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not the POTUS. So there's a lot of stuff like that. But I think again, there's a lot of blackmail and bad things. So if they don't go along, they're going to get exposed. They're going to get thrown in prison. So they're following along, they're afraid. They're scared.
Yeah, exactly. And what pisses me off too, now that you talked about with the Twitter is there's people that have good voices out there. And one good voice that I like to listen to, his name is Michael Savage. I listen to Michael Savage. Well, I'm starting not to listen to him as much because he's attacking Trump for using his Twitter. He basically is. say the guy comes out and he supports Trump and he's like all pissed off at this one and that one and this one. Then the next day he comes out and he's telling Trump to shut your Twitter down and it's immature and it's this and it's that. Well, I like Trump's Twitter account because I relate to him, man. I can relate to him when he comes out on there, and he makes waves when he comes out. He's explosive on that Twitter account, and media, and he talks directly to us on that Twitter account. So, I'm just so fed up with people that are supposed to be pro-Trump that come out and attack the guy that's actually trying to do something for us. He may not be perfect, bro. And there's a lot of things I don't agree with, but there's a lot of things I don't understand. I am not anywhere near to understanding what it's like to be president of the United States. And I can only imagine what that guy's got to go through. So, everybody wants a quick thing. Everyone wants a quick thing. We want to wake up tomorrow. We want this and that done. But you got to remember that this is a lot bigger than anyone thought. And we all see it. We all know. Look, we've all been researching this shit for how long?
Yeah, for years. Well, look at 9/11. Look at ISIS. Look at Al Qaeda. Look at all the stuff that's happened between. Okay, let's go back to Iraq. Let's go. Okay, Saddam. We were buddies. The Bush thing with Bin Laden and all these other issues and Saudi Arabia and all this global stuff, and that's really where it's at. And the elite run all that stuff. So every war we ever had has been based on a narrative that was created. It wasn't something that just happened out of nowhere. It was actually set up. It was funded by both sides, by the elite. They'll go and destroy a whole country. And they'll make money destroying it, and then they'll make money rebuilding it because they own the companies that are going to rebuild it. So
correct.
That's kind of the problem with all this, and it's been going on for millennial. It's been happening forever, but now is the time of, I believe, the beginning of the Great Awakening, where people are going to be through the technology that we have. If we use it wisely, it can make a huge difference in the future of our children by being educated about what's really going on in the world, and who's responsible for it. Yeah, that's kind of where we got to get to.
I agree. I mean, and speaking of 9/11, there was a man. He's a 79-year-old man. He was on the inside. He worked for the CIA, and he put out something on his deathbed. The guy's dying. And basically admitted to being part of the World Trade Center 7 bombing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have people in the NIST, the guy in the NIST review where they did spend 3 years. Does it take 3 years to figure out what happened to Building 7?
No.
3 years. And then and none of their models are computer models. If you compare that with the actual what happened, it doesn't match at all. So you can watch it side by side. It doesn't match.
And then you talk about Project Bluebeam. I've seen so many examples of planes hitting where they've done experiments and they ran a plane. There was nothing found of plane wreckage. Okay. Now, I believe truly that those pictures, those planes weren't actual real planes. I think they were Project Bluebeam projecting a plane and the explosion going off at the same time to make it look like it was hitting the building, man. I mean, there is no way that plane went through that building.
And the nose came out the other side of it.
There's no way.
Make it through that structural steel like that?
That would never happen. Never. Not in a million years. And now with this man coming out and talking about his participation in WTC 7, and this is another frustrating thing. This should be picked up. This should be all over 60 Minutes, Fox News, NBC, CBS. This ought to be explosive. And it just goes to show you how corrupt our media is right now. The amount of corruption that has taken over this country is mind-boggling. And
It is.
I'm scared, Tom. I really am scared because I I I really have a feeling that it's not going to be long before something major goes down, that they enact something crazy here. Um, every
Right.
day, every day there's reports of asteroids. Every day we've had an asteroid, one lunar distance, 1.5 lunar distances. We had 25 fireballs the other night. Now we got um, um, Yellowstone National Park is acting up. There's a volcano also in California. There's so much weird things going on that I believe we're in those end times. That either God is that pissed off and wants to clean this world up somehow because of the evil that inherited right now, or I don't know, Tom. But I really,
so. I
I
mean, think
really,
about it. What if you go back and you look at when he flooded the earth, it was flooded. I mean, but Noah, hey, the animals lined up. He didn't go get them. I mean, they lined up to get on the ark because they knew.
yeah,
So
yep,
and people still thought he was crazy. Oh, this crazy
yeah.
dude. And then the flood came, and so that's the kind of thing. And what it says this time is going to be by fire. So it's an
And that's what I want to
interesting
get
thing.
to. And that's what I want to ask you, and I want to ask everyone else. And I know I've talked about Planet X from time to time. Like I said, I've been on again, off again, on again, off again with Planet X. And there is a lot of evidence from amateur astronomers that are showing us things out in space shouldn't be there. Now, is all of this going on right now as just one big distraction to keep us basically distracted away from the real threat? Is there something out in space? Is Planet X, are we about ready to meet some kind of crazy, drastic space event? Is something about ready to happen? And all that's going on right now, is it all just a distraction to keep us not focused on the threat at hand?
But it's
Like,
very possible because the right before Obama left office, he did a couple executive orders about uh, space threats and other things that I haven't read all of them, but I know about them, and it's kind of interesting that he did that right before he left office. But that could also be the threat. That could be a diversion as well. I think personally, it could go either way. I think it's either, right, maybe they're trying to get people to look at that instead of looking at, well, there's all these secret societies and peoples that in their bloodlines and everything that have been running the world. They don't want to have the focus maybe put on them. So it could be either way. Maybe that's real. Maybe there is a threat and they're not telling us, and they have their underground cities and their bunkers and their supplies and everything else. But it's also possible that it's the other way. That it's a distraction like flat Earth or other things that I can't prove. So, like, I can prove chemtrails are real, geoengineering is real, they Monsanto's real, the chemicals in the food are real, the water, the air, all that I can prove it's real. But I can't prove that the Earth is flat or that there's the planet coming in. I can't prove that really. So it's kind of like, okay, they're confusing us. I believe on purpose,
yeah, but there's been a lot
one
of
way or
hard,
another.
there's been a lot of hard evidence, Tom. There's been a lot of photos that have been captured of actual things that are up there that really kind of like mimic that Planet X type of
Right, and
thing.
I've seen some of it. I've looked into it, but then I thought, well, maybe it's possible that it's there, um, but I don't understand why the mainstream science or somebody in mainstream science or at these places where they have these super telescopes and all this stuff in the desert, why aren't they coming? I mean, something has to get leaked from somebody to
Well,
warrant
there's
human
been
beings.
there's two scientists over in Europe, and if you're not familiar with the channel, his name is Jacob Israel, and he goes into specifics about it and gives the scientists names and this and that. They've come out there now. They wrote a paper on it, and they give their evidence about Planet Nine. They call it Planet Nine, and they say Planet Nine is very real, and it's taking a like a spiral. This Planet X is coming in like in a spiral trajectory, is why it's so hard to find, because it's like a spiral.
It's not on the same path, right? It's moving in, and I've seen that, and
right.
So,
and Pete WND or Pete, I sent you the video for him. He's another kid out of the UK that concentrates solely on that, and he gives trajectory. He gives all the information you can possibly want. I mean, if you go to Pete's channel and check him out, I mean, you'll see some pretty good evidence that points to something that just isn't right. I mean, like I said, every day we've had asteroids fly by the Earth. I mean, usually an asteroid flying.
They're not telling you on the news, hey, by the way, there's an asteroid that's going to fly by.
No, they're not. But you could go to NASA's own site, okay, and you could see right there every day we have a close flyby by an asteroid, and we've had 25 fireballs last weekend fly in that we're seeing. I mean, this is unheard of, Tom. I mean, we used to barely get like an asteroid, once or twice a year on a close flyby, and now for the past week we've had one every day that's flying relatively close. And one lunar distance, a lunar distance is the same distance from us to the moon, from Earth to the moon, and you know, we've had many close calls with asteroids that are one lunar distance and some a little bit less that have been flying by. Real decent sized asteroid that's flying in this October in the fall, that's going to be even closer, I believe, than one lunar distance. And you know, it makes you think, why are we having all these space events, you know?
Well, you know, we are. I think there's a lot of that. And you think about, go back to the dinosaurs. I mean, we know we've been hit by asteroids. I mean, there's proof of the craters and how, you know, all that stuff, I believe. I mean, I haven't seen it, you know, pieces of it right in front of me. And, you know, Jim asked in the room, prove the chemtrails. Well, all you got to do is look at the patents. All the patents for chemical geoengineering is all out there to see. And they're government patents. And in the U.S. Air Force simply says that they'll own the weather by 2025. So, and not only, you know, the engines that they make are high bypass turbo engines, which are really basically incapable of hardly even producing a contrail. But yet there's trails across the whole sky. They turn into cirrus clouds. The whole sun is milked out and meted out, and global dimming, and you can do your research on that.
Well, the government came out and admitted that they are basically chemtrails, that they are basically doing what we've been taught. Chemtrails are very real. I mean, I know that people are you know, people want to believe that they're contrails. Well, you know what? They're not. I mean, I've watched. I mean, you know, not every plane produces a chem cloud, but I mean, you can tell. You know, when you look up in the sky and you see 5 or 6 jets flying pretty damn high, spraying, usually early in the morning, okay? And when those, you know, what happens with a contrail is it disappears, okay?
Sure, dissipate. It's ice crystals.
Okay, a contrail will dissipate after a certain amount of time. A chem cloud won't. It turns into an actual cloud. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? And, you know, there's been a lot of evidence that comes out. There's a lot of different places where people that are all into this chemtrail stuff have produced evidence where you got pilots, U.S. Air Force pilots that have come out and admitted to what they were doing. And now the government themselves, the Air Force themselves, has come out and admitted to them trying to basically take control of the weather. It's something that they've been trying to do since the 50s. And they have done a pretty good job at perfecting it.
Yeah, they have. They really have.
Something's going on. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But is this trying to mask something from us seeing? I don't know exactly.
There's all the questions, you know, like, okay, we can hide it by blotting out everything where you can't actually see, what's going on out there. But I believe that they're using it through HARP and other radio waves. Okay, plus what's in it, we don't really know for sure. There are patterns you can, look at and see. Like Vietnam, for instance, we were seeding the clouds over the Ho Chi Minh Trail to flood the Vietnamese out. We weren't even dropping bombs at them at that point. Well, we figured we knew they had tunnels. So if you can make it flood and deluge and rain, you can flush them out. And that's basically what we were doing in Vietnam. So this has been going on for a long time. And people that doubt that that's real, all they have to do really is look up. Just look up.
Yeah, and there's enough evidence out there. I mean, you could research. There's so many different things you can look into on the internet too. I mean, there's smuggled out videos of actual guys in the Air Force that are so pissed off about it all that have actually taken pictures of it, taken pictures of the actual machine itself that's inside their planes. I mean, it's for anyone to deny that is just they're just going along with the government's freaking narrative, man. It's just sad to see people don't want to take the time to get in. Obviously you're going to find places that are going to they're going to tell you just the opposite. There's a lot of misinformation out there, but there's a lot of great information out there, and it's up to you, the holder, the one that wants to read this stuff, to be able to take it for what it's worth. I mean, to me, there's just too much. Like I said, the government has admitted to chemtrails. This has come out over the past year. This has come out over within the past year here, where they've actually admitted to them trying to weather modification and all that different stuff.
It came out in Harvard. I mean, of all, Harvard, they're talking about, and then all you got to do is look into the conferences with these geoengineers and how they propose. Well, this was years ago. They're proposing that we put particulates in the atmosphere, to block out the sun because of global warming, and they were already doing it. It's just they always wait because people are waking up to it. So they're like, okay, yeah, let's think about we might do this. They're already doing it.
Yeah, we are. I mean, like I said, everyone's so busy looking at their damn phones. I'll tell you, it's funny, Tom. I'm a tractor trailer driver, 31 years. I've never seen it so bad. I mean, every day you can see someone on their phone. Everyone's so distracted with their damn phones that no one bothers to look up anymore. Everyone's looking down. It's very few people are paying attention. And I hope more people pay attention. Because what are you going to do when we have an EMP attack? China or North Korea launches an EMP attack. My buddy last night, he argued with me, and until I had to get on and show him some proof. He told me, North Korea doesn't have nuclear weapons. They have no satellites that have a nuclear capability.
There's two of them.
I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm like, that's why we haven't attacked North Korea. That's one of the biggest reasons, because, look, they have 3 satellites, okay? I think 1 or 2 of them fly over the United States a couple times a day. And
yes.
You're kidding yourself if you don't believe if we attack North Korea that they won't launch one of those satellites and explode it over like Minnesota or something, someplace in the center of our country, man. All it would take is a small nuclear weapon out in space over our country to knock out our grid, man. Yeah. It's so simple, it's stupid.
I know, it really is. And that's what I don't, they're already, and they come from the south. They come from the south and they go past through the north. But our defense systems aren't really aimed at the south like they should be. So yeah, and what they do every day, they come over. So there's a real possibility that they could have one of those devices on one of those satellites, and when it comes over right over the middle of America, they could set it off.
Yeah, there is a very good possibility of that. And like I was telling you before, I mean, everyone's so focused on this Russian bullshit. It's ridiculous, man. Russia's not the biggest threat here, man. China is. I mean, China controls most of Hollywood right now. Almost every TV movie that's being produced right now, all of Hollywood is just about controlled by China. Okay? You can research that and you can check it out for yourself. It's not American run like everyone thinks it is. It's ran by the Chinese. The Chinese own so much stake of our country.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. And China is, I believe, look, what did they say? There was like 40,000 Chinese spies that are living in our country and are waiting for orders from China to basically, do what they got to do. I mean, we have the biggest threat facing us, and everyone wants to talk about Russia. China is our biggest threat and our biggest enemy out there, man. I mean,
sure, absolutely. They want to make it the Russians, but the Russians aren't, because the Russians kicked the IMF basically, and George Soros and those people out of Russia. So
yes, they did.
Like Iceland did. They got pissed, man, and they put bankers in jail. We need to do the same thing.
We do, man. And Tom, I like I said, you still have to hold a little bit of hope. I mean, I am not going to talk shit about Donald Trump, our president. I refuse to. There's enough people that are already doing it, and I think it's wrong. All I got to tell people is just imagine if Hillary Clinton won the election and she was president right now. I doubt we'd be doing this live stream right now. I really do. I mean, you want to talk about a different type of America? That lady would have put the hammer down on us. She is not for this country. That lady is the biggest criminal. You just look at the dead bodies that follow that lady, like we were opening up the show with, man. I mean, within the past year, so much heat has been put on the Clintons, and how many people have died because they were going to expose the Clintons in some shape, way, or form. It's ridiculous. I mean, this Seth Rich thing is just incredible. I mean, I pray, Tom. I pray every day. You know me. I'm not Mr. Religious, but I am a believer. Something's got to happen here, because our children deserve better, man. And what's scary, I sat down the other night when I was talking to my friend, and I looked at him. I says, "Do you realize Trump's only got less than 3.5 years left? Okay, and if we're lucky and he gets reelected again, okay, then we got a little less than 7.5 years. But then after that's all done, it's probably right back to where we started again."
Right.
So it's either Trump has to come through. Trump has to come through and do something quick. He's got to do something before he's out of office to end this corruption. A huge shakeup has to happen, Tom. We have to pray it happens, because, like I told you before, I think Americans would be fine if President Trump came out, addressed the American people, had a couple of generals on his side, and said, "Look, we were going to oppose martial law. We want you to go about your business, but we're going to be arresting people on a daily basis. Right now, we have X amount of people from Congress, X amount of journalists, X amount of these people, that we've got all these people in cuffs, and we will be arresting more. Go about your business, and we will get through." I think America could handle that. I think America would rejoice knowing that they have someone's finally got these corrupt politicians and put them away, and we have finally got some. I mean, I think that's what people are waiting for. They make it seem like more of these protesters are the voice of the country. They're not. They're really not, man. There's more of us than there are of them, and never forget that.
Absolutely, that's very true, and that's what they're afraid of. I think if we actually can come together and expose, and Trump could, that's, but I don't know if that'll happen or not. I mean,
it has to happen, Tom. It does, because if it's just business as usual, and not much gets done, then when he's out of office, we're shit out of luck, dude.
Right back to the way it was before. Yeah,
it's going right back
to communism, socialism.
Right.
That's basically what we're being based on now through our monetary system with the money. So the way that and we're the world currency right now, but we're bigger than any country ever was and ever has been, including Rome or
Correct.
anything.
And
So
and just by the actions of these people, this is why I'm saying something huge is going to be happening, because you could see the desperation in these people. I mean, just turn on any news channel, just, you know, you could see it, man. You could see it everywhere you look. Okay, there is a desperation from these people. They know that he's onto them. They know that certain people have got their you know, they got their they tagged them. They know what they're all about, man. So it's
yeah, so the gig's coming. The gig is going to be shown up. The gig's up.
They're
right?
trying to stuff them out. They're trying to snuff him out before that time comes. They're hoping that they can get him gone before he's able to do what he's able to do. I mean, at least that's the way it looks like to me, in my opinion.
Stay safe, because I always thought at the beginning, I thought, well, there's another Trojan horse. It's Trojan horse, Trump's Trojan horse. I've looked, into a lot of things about Trump and about, like, for example, the Simpsons stuff. How are they? They were predicting, Trump and Hillary in what, 2009 or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're already showing all that. So that makes me think, okay, who's in control of all this stuff? They showed Trump basically being president, and then they showed Hillary being president to fix all the monetary problems after Trump had been in office. So, I mean, you got to wonder about all that stuff. I mean, they show you that stuff, but it just...
You do, but it also makes you got to think, do these people have a way into the future that we can only dream about? Are they able to see things that we're not? And this is how they try to brainwash us through TV programs. And you know what I'm saying is,
well, they have supercomputers. They have that one, and I can't think of the name of it right off my head, but I mean, it has to be so cold in there that it's colder than they say than space itself would be.
Oh yeah, the quantum or something, quantum.
Yeah, quantum. So they're using algorithms and computers simulations or whatever, probably to predict what's going to happen. Yeah. And that's absolutely amazing by itself. And how did they know that? How can they predict that Trump, he wasn't even really on the scene at the time. How can they predict that and put it in a cartoon for everybody to see? Because it's pre-programming of events to come. And I think they do it through the Illuminati, through the movies, through, Elysium, through Terminator movies, through Hunger Games, through all this other stuff. They're showing you in advance. Like, they always have to give you something, like it's part of the code. Like, we have to show them, but yet we don't have to tell them. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You know what I'm saying?
All I got to say is you can't give up on hope, and you have to keep fighting every day. Just remember, man, there is more of us than there is them. We have to go to work every day to pay our bills, to do our thing. We don't have the time to go out and do what these other protesters are doing and all that, bro. So,
absolutely, I agree. I mean,
I'm gonna have to cut it here, bro. I got my food that's all ready. We're having veal parmesan here, but yeah,
we're having quesadillas tonight.
Hamburger,
yeah, homemade. So yeah.
Damn, you're eating good too, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna eat good tonight. And I got to work tomorrow. Get up at like 4. So yeah, But listen, brother, I'm glad. It's great to have you on the show tonight, and we have quite a few people in here, and we just want to talk openly about it. We may see things a little differently, but that's good. It's healthy.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to jump all over the place with things. I just, like you said, we have to talk about all these little, everything counts. There are so many threats that we face right now. There are so many different things going on, Tom, and I don't know what's real and what's not. You don't know what's real, what's not, but we have to talk about it and try to figure it out, man, because we're living it.
Yeah, we're living it, and so at least we're able, people like me and you can come on here We can have an open conversation about things and just put it out there. And there's no, you're wrong. None of that.
No.
We just throw things at each other and bounce it off, and people can take what they want from it, and maybe we can, open a few eyes up to some of the bigger picture of what's happening in the world. And that's my own objective. I don't care about people subscribing to me or making money off of YouTube, or I don't care about that. I just care about having me and you talking, and my voice being heard, yours being heard, and letting people judge and look into, maybe, people start looking into more things as it's presented to them. And I'm hoping for that.
That's my same goal too, bro. I mean, I can give two craps about how many subs I have. I'm not in it for money. A job every day. I have a good job. I don't have as much time as I used to make videos because I'm working so much. I mean, I guess it's the Trump effect. I mean, and that's one thing I've noticed is going towards the end of Obama, things were getting so bad at my work. I'm in the service industry as a tractor trailer driver. I'm a P&D guy. I mean, I pick up at all the local factories and businesses and stuff like that. So it had slowed down drastically. Trump's beginning term, it was still affected. I mean, we were taking voluntary days off, and I'll tell you, man, we are so busy. I see people opening up factories again. I see businesses starting to thrive again, and that's a good
because they have confidence.
Right.
In the economy, they're gaining more confidence. And even when I work for Lowe's, and we've been so busy. We're selling all kinds of stuff. I mean, every day we're overloaded. You can't even. I'm working 12, 14 hours a day just to deliver appliances.
Yeah.
Because and high dollar ones too.
Yeah, I know. I deliver to Lowe's, man. I deliver to Lowe's daily. But don't forget, there is going to be some type of financial meltdown, and it's not going to be Trump's fault. They want Trump to be blamed for what's coming. I believe.
Absolutely.
I believe we're going to have a crash, and I believe it's going to come probably in the fall. I'm not, I have no crystal ball, or, but I watch different financial people on YouTube, and I do some reading of articles from different, different people out there, and, to try to fuck with the Fed's trying to fuck with Trump right now. I mean, that's like you talked about earlier. The Federal Reserve is a fraud. I mean, we need to get back to gold. We need to get back to money being backed by precious metal again. I mean, that would be
that would be amazing if that happened. And then the middle class.
So good. To see Trump come out and say that he's booted the Federal Reserve out, and we are going to take it over with our own central bank backed by gold and silver. I mean, that would be awesome,
amazing.
Man, huh?
That would be amazing. That would be so awesome that I would cry. I mean, I would literally break down and cry.
I would too, bro, because that would be the start of something great to come. I mean, we need to get to the bottom, though. So who knows? Maybe something like that is something he's working on. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it could, like you said, Trump could very well be part of this. We don't know. We could all be being sold out and being played very well. I don't believe we are, though. I mean, I'm a very good read of character. I've looked into that man's eyes for a long time now, watched his speeches and this and that, and I see someone that really gives a shit. The only problem with Trump is that he's got people within his own family that are trying to destroy him, like this Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner, I believe, is a plant. He's a George Soros plant.
Sure.
I think, but then again, I mean, that's his daughter's husband, and imagine if you were in that same position, how hard it would be. So we got to give the guy a little time.
He's been planted there on purpose to cause exactly the division between Trump and his family, and that could be by design as well. So we have to keep our open minds. We have to stay focused on a lot of things, but it's hard because you don't even know what the real truth is on almost half of things that are going on. You can't see it. You can't find
almost everything. Look, we've been lied to from just about everything that we think is true. We've been lied to. We've been lied to on everything from religion to you name it, man. Everything has been twisted and manipulated. and we all just want the truth, bro.
Right.
And let's hope that, you know, let's hope the truth comes out. Let's hope that, you know, this guy that we call God, you know, the guy that controls everything up there, that made us, and it was, you know, let's just hope mass awakening happens, and we make someone upstairs proud, and we get rid of the evil that's taking over this earth right now, because that's what it is, bro. No matter how you look at it, these people are pure evil, man.
Amen to that. So, you know, that's what we got to get to. I want to thank everybody. I'll thank Randy for being in chat, Jim, and everybody, Becky, and everybody else. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And you know, me and Rich, we're I believe, you know, on somehow on the same level at a certain point. But you know, we're open about it, and we can discuss it, which most people can't do without fighting about it. And that's the biggest problem, is the division between our society. We have to help fix society so that they can realize the bigger issues and the bigger pictures instead of chasing Pokemans, you know? So.
And I'd like to thank everybody for checking us out tonight and participating. And I love you all, man. You guys are awesome people, man. Every single one of you. Thank you.
Painful's in there. I want to thank him. Good patriot, good follower. I just want everybody to pay attention to what's coming, because it's big. Whatever it is, it's big. The next nail or shoe to drop, whatever you want to say, it's coming soon, and it will happen. It's just the direction that they're predicting, or projecting, I should say, that we are going to go in, which is cashless, computers, transhumanism, IA, artificial intelligence, these algorithms, all this computer, you know, stuff like that is really serious, and people aren't paying attention to that stuff because they're too busy watching stuff that doesn't matter. But if you want to look into something important, look into artificial intelligence, look into Elon Musk, look into, you know, all these things. Look into the warnings even the elites themselves give, you know, about, you know, technology and brain chips and transhumanism and, you know, all this. Look at the Georgia Guidestones. Look into the broad picture of what these people are up to, and they're up to no good. They want to get rid of us, and you know, we're just useless eaters of them, and that's how I see it. But that's just my opinion. How all my research over the years shows me, you know. So it's just, you know, it's crazy. I digress, you know.
All right, brother. I'm gonna end it here. I got to get in, having dinner with the family here. But thank you so much, Tom, and thank you to everyone else. And keep preparing, people.
Amen. Well, it's great to have you on, man. I'm glad to have you on. It's been a long time, and I know we talk privately, but you know, to have you on is good, and for everybody else out here to hear what we're talking about. So it's a blessing for me to have you on the show, on my show, and I'd love to come on yours too. You know, we're friends, and I believe that we will stay friends. So.
God bless you, brother. Thank you.
God bless you, man, and everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and we will talk soon. Peace.
Peace out.